sign on and then hit them up or whatnot.
Yeah.
Now lately I've been kind of busy, so my video gaming as a whole has suffered a little bit. Like you said, you haven't seen me on quite as much. Well, that is true to a degree, but I'm trying to get stuff done before all these new games I want to play drop.
There is no other game than Destiny. What are you talking about?
For you,
I don't
Sharks, we know you have the most hours in out of all the Guardian 1 members, and that you don't play anything else, but...
Yeah, but I go and buy everything else. I don't know.
You just don't play
like it. Yeah, I buy it, and I'm not pissed off that I buy it.
Alright, so moving on?
Moving on.
Moving on. Okay, so next they bring in Luke
Did you
Smith.
guys see the Did you guys see the sword in action? Like, did you get to see?
Yeah, they actually. So I actually missed. To be quite honest, I missed it when I was watching the stream, because it was such a short clip.
Very brief.
Where he was doing it. The part that I saw was him using. He said something about sword, and I was like, oh yeah, he is using the sword, because it was the other player that was using it. It was Mr. Fruit that was actually using it, and he was using it as a defensive weapon. And I was like, oh, that's sweet. And then he got slaughtered because the power went out. But I went back afterwards, and there were a few people that had taken the clip and slowed it down, and it was pretty epic. I mean, you couldn't exactly see how he was using it. You could see it looked like some kind of swipe down, or maybe like what Crota's is. You hit it against the ground. And I don't even think it did any damage to anybody at that point, but you could see it moving, and then he just went into defensive mode with it. So, but yeah,
I imagine it's similar to handling the relic from what I saw. Like when he puts it up in defensive mode, it's probably very similar to when you pop the shield when you're fighting Atheon.
Yeah.
Somebody
somewhere posted about how the cooldown worked. I think they had talked to Mr. Fruit about it, but I'll have to find it and DM you it so you can.
Well, since it doesn't have ammo, I mean, they could just put some sort of meter there where the ammo would normally be displayed on your screen, and it could work just like a grenade charge type thing on the relic does. You know what I mean? Like it goes down while you're holding it on, and when you take it off, it starts slowly going back up.
Probably, yeah. I think it was a cooldown if I remember right, but don't quote me on that. But it's pretty sweet, and this is where a lot of people were really upset. In the community, this was all over Reddit and all over Twitter, and they were like, oh, typical Bungie not showing it from his point of view because they knew he had it equipped.
Yeah.
But Bungie did that on purpose, and I actually, in a way, I was kind of glad that they didn't. I was having this discussion with Agrius earlier. We were talking about spoilers and what people consider spoilers and whatnot, and I have to say the sword and seeing its use would have been a big spoiler, especially if they really showed everything. It's like I said, it's pretty exciting to me now. I'm excited to try out a sword and see what it's like. So
I agree. When I first was looking at the sword, I was looking at it from an offensive point of view. But then when I saw him go into defensive mode, I thought, oh man, the application of this, depending on what it can take, like it looked like it was taking quite a beating. I don't know, imagine being able to move around a piece of the map behind this mobile shield. Like that's awesome. That turns the heavy weapon slot in from massive damage to massive saving people. Like you could, in theory, save other people. You could run up and throw your sword up and block a shot that might be fatal. Like, oh man, it's very exciting to think about. Very exciting to think about. Moving on.
Okay, so they bring in Luke Smith now to discuss the changes coming to our daily and weekly activities in the Taken King. The goals for year 2 include making strike replayability augmented by variability. I'm having some trouble saying some words tonight. They want to make the bosses more interesting combat phases with less vitality. So no bullet sponges and more combat mechanics. They want to make strike-specific rewards, as in they're going to have armor drops that look like trophies from the strike boss and weapons that only drop from certain strikes.
Awesome.
Specifically for Nightfalls, they mentioned that the burn skulls have always motivated weapon rotation. And now the burn resist talents found on chest pieces will also rotate armor. So as you know, we've seen perks that, like, for instance, you might get a chest piece that says reduces the burn of void burn, so that you're gonna want to have a void burn chest piece, a solar burn chest piece, and an arc burn chest piece to run during the appropriate Nightfalls.
Man, all I hear right now,
more armor space, vault space.
All I hear right now is vault space just being eaten away.
Yep. Figure 3 different chest pieces on 3 different characters. That's 9 new chest pieces for your vault right there.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's something else. I can't remember who I was talking to, but I was talking about this today, and we were talking about. Actually, I think it was Strider. I was talking to it about. It's kind of disappointing because Bungie keeps saying, "Oh, we want everybody to be different, and we're doing all this stuff to help people along so that they will look different, so that everybody is, you're not gonna walk in and see 8 people in the tower wearing the exact same armor pieces. They will have all these shaders and everything else that they can equip. But at the same time, every single time that we've gotten an expansion lately, and it sounds like it's going to be the same thing with Taken King, they have these set pieces that everybody's going to want, everybody's going to need. You need this void armor, you need this solar armor, and so everybody's going to look exactly the same too.
Well, no, because I think these perks are going to be random rolls. Like right now, you have legendary chest pieces coming from New Monarchy, legendary chest pieces from Future War Cult, Dead Orbit, the Vanguard vendor, the Crucible vendor, and then any that you're going to randomly find out there. And I think these perks are all going to have random. You're going to have to find the random.
You think it will be on each and every piece that's out there, or is it going to be like?
Yeah, all the legendaries will have the option of getting that.
It won't be like raid specific. But even if there are, you're gonna go out there and you're gonna get the raid specific gear, or you're gonna get the PvP gear that they're giving away, and that's what you're gonna use all the time because that's gonna be the best stuff.
No, it's not going to be because of transfusion. You can just take whatever legendary piece you want and pump those higher level pieces into it to make them the high level.
Interesting.
So that's the thing. Everybody's going to look different because, well, first off, the pieces that we saw with the void protection on it, the anti-void burn and whatnot, those weren't raid pieces. I mean, this is on normal gear that they've been showing off that people are having during E3 and these reveals and things. And chest piece you get can be the max level. You're not stuck having to get the one from the raid or anything. That's what they're doing away with.
Yeah, it's going to be the max level, but you're going to have certain gear that's going to have certain perks on it. Like raid gear has certain perks on it, and everybody's going to want that perk because they're running the raid.
That's the way they've been doing it. We don't know that they're going to continue doing it that way, though.
You're right, and I hope they're not. I really hope they're not. But this was the discussion that we were having, and it's if that's what they're going to do, even though it's going to be even more frustrating because you're filling up your vault space. Everybody's going to have the exact same gear. They're going to go into that specific thing and do it. I hope that that's not the case. I really do, because then vault space won't matter at all, because you can wear one set of gear and
No,
kick butt with it.
I do think it's possible that, like, for instance, there may be a raid set of gear that has, like you said, specific perks on it, but those are going to be specific per particular raid. So if they're going to give you enough vault space, and they're going to give you, and in the void, say the anti-void burn perks and stuff don't even appear, they don't roll on the raid gear, well then you're not going to want to wear your raid gear to do nightfalls. You're going to want to wear one of your random legendaries that you found that have the appropriate burn on it, that you've leveled up using your extra raid gear pieces to make them high enough level.
Right. And I kind of hope that that's the case. But, well, and then at the same time I don't, though, because then when you're doing a raid, every single person's going to be wearing that raid gear, and you're not going to be wearing that other stuff. I don't know. I'm going to obviously have to wait and see, but
definitely this expansion has really pointed to player choice, and so I'm hoping as well that the raid gear that we find is hopefully just as varied as legendary gear and the perks that it rolls. But I'm also afraid that, you know, the raid set that drops in normal is what's going to make hard mode easier / doable. You know,
yeah.
I mean, kind of like how with the other raids they had those specific perks on gear. I kind of hope that you know, maybe you get gear sets that you roll with the bosses, and so, like, you know, this you want these arms and legs for this boss, then you might want to switch out to different arms and legs for the next boss, and maybe have different armor sets for different encounters too. That, I think that'd be fun to see as well.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what they were doing with the Prison of Elders already, right? With the fact that the Fallen room and the Cabal room and the Hive room all had different armors that would affect those rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem is that every single piece looked exactly the same.
Yeah, if each, I mean, the one thing they're kind of touting in this too is that the strike bosses have arms, weapons, or armor that are kind of unique to them, and maybe, you know, that armor piece, the look of that boss. And so I think it'd be cool if we do see maybe different sets of raid gear depending on where you found your piece in the encounter.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Moving on.
So the changes for the Nightfall continue with now it's going to require level 40, and wiping will no longer return fire teams to orbit, as well as it will now use a 30-second timeout penalty for death, the same as the normal mode raid does.
What was it before?
So these are pretty major changes. I believe it was it was instant. You could be revived as soon as you died. The only time that you had the penalty to being revived was in the raids. So they've moved that normal mode raid mechanic where you have the delayed revive into the Nightfall. So this is what's replacing getting kicked to orbit. Like, you can still all die like you could in the raid because you couldn't wait for the timer to come back up to revive your friend, and then have to start doing that boss battle or section or whatnot all over again.
Got it. That's pretty exciting.
It's gonna be awesome for us people that do solo Nightfalls.
I can't even imagine, like, not having to go back to orbit. That's so huge. That's so huge. And also they said something about, you know, it was making people feel like they had to play safe. Well, yeah. Yeah, you had to play safe, or else you went back to the beginning, and, you know, that's just not awesome. You know, but I don't know, I kind of feel like I'm going to continue playing safe anyways, just because that's what makes me happy in game, is playing it safely. Like, I want to make it through. I don't want to die. I want to be the guy on the team that revives people. I don't want to be the person that people always have to revive. Even though I totally don't mind. I am very interested in just reviving people all day long. You want me to run over there instead of shooting bad guys? Fine. You stick your neck out, get it cut in half, and then I'll come over and revive you. That's fine by me. But yeah, I don't want to die. I want to play it safe. And now, I don't know. Just think about that. Think about not going back to orbit. Like, that was such a huge aspect of the Nightfall. Like, that was the name of the perk that did that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know. That's crazy. What do you guys think about that?
Hey guys, I didn't realize it's as late as it is for me. I can get off.
Right, we're coming up close to the end of the podcast. Huh? I think we got about 20 minutes left.
Oh, geez. All right, we got lots to get through.
All right. Well, have a good one, Crimson. I'll see you later.
Yep.
Yeah, have a nice one.
See you later, guys.
Later on, Crimson.
Shout out to everyone who plays Destiny and is excited for the Taken King. And not excited, get excited.
Awesome. Have a good one. All right, let's hit it.
All right, so they've also removed a dedicated weekly heroic strike from the game this fall. No more weekly heroic. That's it. Gone. Kaboot. In its place, we've added a new playlist, the Vanguard Heroic Playlist. Each week, players receive bonus legendary marks from the weekly heroic playlist. These awards are received at the account level rather than the character level, as was the case with Year 1 heroic rewards. This playlist is going to require level 40, just like the Nightfall. So no reduced level, like right now you can, challenge the weekly heroic at lower levels than the max, but this is going to be a max level playlist. Instead, accounts receive the legendary marks for completing the first 3 weekly strikes. So you can play it on whatever character that you want to play it on. So now if you want to get all 3 of your heroic weeklies done on your Titan, that seems to be an option.
Crazy.
They removed the weekly cap on how many legendary marks can be earned. And they guarantee a legendary engram drop from a character's first clear of a weekly heroic strike. So now I'm curious, they say on this last line, from a character's first clear of the weekly heroic. When they say that, do they mean account or do they truly mean character? Because everything else on this has been doing by account.
I bet you they mean character. I bet you they still want people to go and do it on each character, but they're saying if you want to go in there and do it on one, you can run it over and over again and get marks, but not necessarily gear. That makes sense.
Well, you only receive legendary marks for completing the first 3 that you do each week.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying.
Right.
They're saying, if you want your marks, you can go in there and do it. But if you want actual gear, which is
right.
legendary, I don't know. I mean, that's the way I would see it, but because they do want people to try different things and play each character. They try to convince people to do that, but.
Now, Moxmoss just posted a tweet from Mark Noseworthy over there, which is worth mentioning, since we're talking about this subject now. In Destiny, Destiny the Taken King, strange coins are not going away even though the weekly source is gone. Coins will still appear in a variety of activities. To offset the weekly going away, they will drop more frequently from non-weekly sources. Xur still likes them.
Yeah, this is pretty huge in that at first you needed a fire team to complete them, and then they made it match made, and now like I'm curious to know why specifically this decision was made, but it does influence the fact that this means that I'm not just going to get a free 27 every week, you know, or this means that I will get that 27 through the course of my other activities, you know. What do you
Well, we
think?
already saw a pretty substantial increase in. I mean, now all your legendaries and things break down into motes of lights and strange coins and whatnot. I mean, they used to break down exclusively in ascendant material, so we already have a substantially higher rate of getting strange coins than we did when Vanilla Destiny launched.
Agreed.
Yeah. But you know, I have to say, I could care less at this point.
Sharks, how
I
many
have
strange coins do you have?
let's see, I have 1,319.
Oh my god.
So, yeah. Unless they start selling legendary weapons and armor for strange coins, I don't think I'm ever going to run out in the 10 years that your Destiny's going to go.
Man, I'm so jealous of you. How did you get all those? You just every week run all those weekly strikes
Yeah.
or what? Man,
He never spends any of them.
I'm so jealous. Okay, so on the PlayStation I have 345. So I feel pretty good with 345. Some weeks I don't do the weekly, like for instance, the Omnigul. I don't run the Omnigul strike on the weekly, just because
I never miss them.
it's not my. I'm not interested in fighting with. But too many times I've gotten to the end of the strike and had the people I'm with just dance and wait for me to finish it. Like that's
what you get for not running it with Guardian 1 members.
That's jerky. Yeah, but they're never on. They're
No,
always
you're
sleeping.
never on. We're always on. You're never on.
I don't know.
Don't start this.
I don't know. No, I'm talking about in our normal playtime. I'm talking about in our normal playtime, like when we
What,
used
Saturday
to play.
from 7 p.m. to midnight?
No, I'm
No,
talking.
he's
I'm talking
talking
Monday
about
through
2
Monday.
a.m. 2 a.m. to like 4
Oh,
or 5
right.
a.m.
He's talking
Pacific time.
about starting at 5 a.m. my time, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
When we used to play all the time. That we used to play all the time. That was our
we
jam.
did. It was.
And so I'm
We
still
gotta
on at
get
that
back
time.
into our groove.
Right?
Gotta
That
get
was
back in
just
our
for a
groove.
few weeks. That was just for
Yeah.
a few weeks.
A few weeks.
Our regular times were from about 1 p.m. Pacific time until like.
Oh God. Okay,
Anyway.
Remy, from now on, just DM me, and I will make sure I put time aside to get you
Same here.
your. Yeah, I do not want you missing out on coins, even though I do think that 300 and something coins is more than enough. I
Yes.
will totally run it with you, and especially Nightfalls. And you know, I love running Nightfalls. I think that those. They piss me off sometimes, and I love running with my friends.
I still have 2 more
so-
nightfalls and 2 more weeklies to do this week, for that matter. So if you need
Yeah,
to get
and
in
I know that Remy has stuff to do too. So the 3 of us just need to buckle down and go and do our stuff together and stop screwing around. Okay, moving on.
Moving on. Nice call.
So we have lots of good things besides those weekly events going on. We also have PvP weekly stuff. Once players have completed the PvP intro chain on Lord Shaxx, they will receive access to the weekly PvP quests from Lord Shaxx and the PvP Quartermaster. Each week's Lord Shaxx is a bounty called The True Meaning of War. Completing this bounty each week, which requires completing all the PvP weeklies, grants players Nightfall tier rewards. And playing multiple characters can sometimes feel like a job or chore. So the daily heroic and the daily PvP often felt that way. So they've increased the rewards and made them an account completion. We want players to choose which characters they want to play on and earn legendary marks on. So no longer can you complete the daily 3 times on 3 different characters. You're going to pick which character you do to get rewards each day.
Crazy. That's crazy. Again, we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out, though.
Yeah, I think some of that's going to be really cool, but at the same time, I'm worried. I'm worried that, you know, players like us that are on playing all the time are going to hit a wall faster for certain things because you're not going to be able to switch over and do it on another character. But at the same time, maybe they're doing it so that you don't have the repetitiveness of, oh, I've just done that. Now I'm going to do it exactly the same two more times.
Well, I think a little bit of it has to do with, okay, don't forget Sharks, we're like the one percenters here. You know, like the people who go to Reddit every day on Destiny the game, we're the one percenters. There's however many million registered users and however many people, you know, that play this on a regular basis that only play it a couple hours a week or whatnot. And they were talking in several of these different recent interviews about the player drop off, people who made it to level 20 and weren't sure what to do after that. And for whatever reason, whether they couldn't find friends for the group activities, or they couldn't figure out what to do next, or they didn't, you know, like having to grind for the one piece of gear they didn't get from the vault yet, that they were losing a lot of people, you know, right after they hit level 20. So I really think that part of this is geared to them to not make Destiny itself as a whole to be semi-completionist about it, to make that angle not seem so overwhelming to someone with more casual time to put into the game.
Yeah.
Because I think that some of those people felt like, you know, maybe I can't keep up with everybody else or certain friends of mine that have more time to put into it, whereas now, you know, you can only complete this once per day. You can't complete it 3 times per day, even if you have time to.
Right, right. And I also think that they might be doing it to extend how long this this part of the expansion is going to last for people, because you're not gonna be able to go in there and run 3 hunters and gain all that gear really fast, and then, you know, you'll still have to make yourself level 40, but you'll have that gear that you can just kick butt with. So I think that's a way for Bungie to keep people from doing stuff like that, and I think that's a good thing. You know, the race to be level 40, the race to be the highest light, the race to be the first at Volta class. But a lot of the people that win the races are the people that have put tons and tons and tons of time in, and so that little guy that, like you say, only has 3 hours or 6 hours a week to play it is never going to have a chance to compete with that. But they will in this way.
Speaking of the race, the last thing they say on the subject is, Oryx lies between you and these challenges. You'll need to survive his wrath to partake in the new endgame. So from the sounds of it, until you beat the raid, these things are all locked off.
I don't think so. But you're probably right.
It's the way it sounds to me.
I don't know. I kind of feel like... I don't know. I feel like are we going to go through some part of the story? Like what about the people who never do the raid? You can't block them out of
Nightfalls then.
I don't think you can.
Maybe that's their whole point. Maybe that's their point, to get those people who out of their comfort zone and through the raid. Because if you want to do the Nightfalls, you need to make it through the easy mode raid.
No, it's got to be the story.
I can't see them doing that.
They're sloping the floor. They want to slope the floor. They're not trying to push people out the door.
Yeah. Well, and then the other thing, you know, they are making this where you don't have to, you do not have to do the story. You can go and play PvP and you'll get rewards. Or if you don't like PvP, you can play the story and you can get rewards. I cannot see them turning around and saying, "Oh, you have to do the raid or you're not going to be able to do anything else." Nah. That seems the exact opposite of everything that Bungie's been trying to do lately.
Let's just hope you're wrong.
Because I mean, before he said something about that
whatever hides inside is making its own.
The story of Oryx and his presence in our solar system is going to continue after the credits roll. and we're going to continue to tell you more about Oryx and his minions after you face them for the first time in the game. The raid is really the culmination of that story. So, I mean, it doesn't sound like you're going to defeat Oryx in the story. You're not going to defeat him till the raid. And if it says that Oryx stands between you and the endgame activities, sure as heck sounds like to me that you need to beat the raid before it unlocks the Nightfalls.
Let's hope you're wrong. Moving on.
I hope I'm right. I think it's a good idea. I like it. So PAX is here, and Bungie's going to be there. If you're a cosplayer or want to see some, go assemble outside near the Sculpture Garden on the upper decks of the Convention Center at 3 p.m. on Saturday. There's going to be a big old Destiny cosplay gather, and I'm kind of jealous. I bet you it's going to be freaking awesome.
Bring it back here.
Yeah,
I did not know about this. I'm going to have to
go.
go. When is this weekend?
Yeah.
No.
Right?
No, is it this weekend?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. It is this weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's why Jez is there.
Where Jez is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to go.
Well,
Yeah, 3 p.m. on Saturday.
If you go, make sure you go to the Bungie booth and get all of us engrams.
Well, I don't have a
We
pack.
would actually have to get a ticket to go in the show. This Sculpture Garden they're talking about is outside the Convention Center.
Yeah. I went there in
Yeah,
2013.
Remy, you know people. I'm sure they can get you in. Say, Deej, hook me up. You hear that, Deej? Get Remy inside.
If I was in the area, I'd love to go, but I have no way of getting out there. I definitely want to hit up a PAX. I've never hit up any of those.
Moving on. If
Moving
you're
on.
going to be there, hit me up. We'll hang out.
So, the next thing they talk about on the technical side of things is update 2.0 is going to be coming up, and they let us know how we can prepare our hard drives for that. It's definitely going to be a sizable bump. On the next-gen systems, we have it clocking in at 18 gigs. And on the last-gen systems, it clocks in at 10 gigs, but you need to have 20 gigs available for the update time. But then after that, it only actually takes 10 gigs worth of space.
Which
Now,
seems so odd to me.
They do note that the well, actually, it's interesting. That's the way it always works. Like when you on the PS3, if you go to download things, it would tell you that you needed more. Like if you looked at the amount of space it was going to quote you that the game took, and you looked and you had that amount of space, and you tried to download it, it would still tell you no, because for whatever reason, the PlayStation installs take up a lot more room than they finally take up. I don't know why, but they all seem to be that way. But they even go so far as to say that if you have one of the old 20 gig PlayStation or last gen systems, that they will assist you in finding the right solution for your console storage space so that you can keep playing. You just need to contact them no later than December 31st, 2015 to help them for the help or whatnot. So I wonder what exactly they mean as far as assisting you in finding the right solution for your console.
Well, I read some of it. Some of it's talking about where to find upgraded hard drives and whatnot, and how to actually do it. Whether you want to, because you know you would have to do it yourself. There really aren't companies that do it, so they'll just show you, links to how to actually go and change the hard drive on it.
Gotcha. So then we go into the movie of the week. I didn't get a chance to check out the movie of the week myself this week. It says it's for the best throwback to classical literature. Sharks, I believe you got to check it out.
Stay away.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, it was a trials run, and one of the teams the team that was recording it, the other team had lost 2 of its members. Probably booted for whatever reason, and so there was only 1 member left. And what they titled it was "Of Mice and Men," and I don't know. I think it's kind of a stretch to compare it to classic literature. But they sat there and they talked about this character because the character's name was, I believe it was I Bunny, and he came and sat next to him, and you can hear the three guys talking about let's feed the bunny, let's feed the bunny, and then the next thing they do is they shoot him dead. And the reason I went back and I looked, the reason that they're saying it's classic literature is because apparently one of the characters in of Mice and Men loved rabbits. It was a very, very small excerpt in the book, but he loved them, but he would kill them all the time. So I don't know. It was, to be quite honest, it was a pretty morbid movie of the week. But yeah, there you go.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
So in closing, they go on to finish up by saying that if you previously they said that if you purchase the digital collector's edition and you already own Destiny and both expansion packs, we have some additional information for you soon. Now, we haven't heard anything since they made this quote, and this is the first they brought it up. They say that we haven't forgotten about you. We know who you are, and we've kept a list. We've also identified what we're going to give you for your awesome early purchase. Unfortunately, it's stuff that won't be available immediately at launch. To use the word stuff here is regrettably vague, but we think you'll be pretty excited once you learn the details. So this is cryptic and interesting, and makes me wonder whether I should buy the digital collector's edition.
Right, that's the $80 one, huh?
Yes, it's the same price as the physical one, but you get no physical stuff, so it's a bit of an oddball thing.
Yeah, but I wonder, because I went out and I bought the collector's edition, the physical one. I wonder if they're going to let the people that spent the money on that get whatever this special stuff is also.
Well, no, because that's the whole point, because then these people who got the digital one are still going to be mad because they still didn't get anything more than the other people and paid the same.
Well, they do get one thing. They get to play before everybody else.
3
Why
hours.
do they get to play before everybody else? I'm
3
line
hours.
up at GameStop at midnight.
Yeah, but the game goes
it's
live for
being
everybody to
released at
play.
what time?
Yeah, at midnight EST.
Yeah.
Wait, no, it goes in. I thought the stuff on PlayStation Network always goes live at midnight on PST, which means the people on East Coast have to wait 3 hours late to play.
Yeah, not this time unless PlayStation Network has it posted wrong.
Interesting.
Right, so if you look at
so you guys get to play earlier. I don't get to play any earlier. I just play at the same time.
No, we don't get to play earlier. Only if you have the digital version. Because I'm gonna have to pick mine up at 12.
I wouldn't, because I would still get to pay at the same time.
No, you actually, in theory, you get to play earlier too, because because normally it would launch at 12 a.m. Pacific. So that means you'll be able to go and pick yours up and put it straight in and play.
Are you certain? Tell me where.
Right. What I'm just saying is that for me, it wouldn't make a difference whether I have the physical or digital. I'd still be able to play at the same time.
Right.
A shame.
Nukem today
So,
says, "What's your thought on new exotics?" And we kind of went over this in the beginning of the podcast about an hour and a half ago, but I did want to bring up that I was watching some of the gameplay of the Strike, and I saw an enhanced sight on a Suros weapon, where when you looked through the sight, there was an outline on the bad guys, like it highlighted them. It highlighted them in a similar manner to how ODST had that.
So I wonder if that's where the old Night Stalker, the original Night Stalker perks went.
Oh, to weapons?
Well, remember, okay, in the one of the articles we discussed last week, they mentioned that there originally was going to be a different warlock subclass, that they were going to make him a necromancer, and they scrapped that. And then right after that, they said that the Night Stalker class was the hardest one to nail down. Originally, he was going to be a stalker type character that could see enemies through walls and things.
Oh man. That would be
So
cool.
I'm wondering if they took this like ability and put it on a scope on a gun that lets you, you know, scope these enemies through walls and see their outlines and things.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And we definitely would like to go further into the exotics, nuke 'em today, but we are rapidly closing in on the 2-hour mark. What else you got, Agros?
I think we should bring up year 1 exotics though, because that hit the fan today.
Yeah, okay. You got that?
Yeah,
Agros?
that's next in the line. Yeah, that's we're about to get into the. There's one last thing in the weekly update, and then we're going into the Edge and PlayStation Magazine articles.
All right.
So the very last thing in the weekly update is a reminder. You have 10 days to complete your moments of triumph, if you have not yet done so.
Awesome. Awesome. I can do it.
What do you need to do yet, Remy?
I have to do Crota on hard and Skolas on 35 on Xbox One. So for any of you out there who might be interested in running those things, let me know, and I would really appreciate it.
Awesome. So this week we also had a big info dump on both Edge magazine as well as PlayStation magazines. They mentioned the Edge articles in the weekly update this week. To quickly sum up the more important points in those articles, the first one we already started to mention that all the year 1 exotics that are not going to be present at launch should be returning to the Taken King eventually. Now, not to say that they're going to be exactly the same as the year 1 exotics you know now. Like we've already seen how they changed the Soros rifle that we were going to be getting carried over. So it seems to be that maybe these aren't present because they are taking time to redesign them to allow them to more appropriately fit into the Taken King's balance. That is by far the biggest news out of the articles. Are you guys excited for this?
You know what I'm excited for? I'm excited for the people who will pipe down because of this. Like I don't want people to be I don't want people to be sad or mournful of what's, happened or not happened in the past. And this gives them an opportunity to just enjoy the game instead of it being like, well, this was the only gun I ever want to use ever again, and you're not bringing it along, so they're upset about that. So this really gives them an opportunity to, I don't know, Bungie is going to be able to make happen waves and just the way everything will ebb and flow. I don't know. I think it's a really smart move. And I'm hoping that people will be happy about this, because I'm happy about this, and I didn't really care about that some of those were going away. Like, you have to get rid of some exotics. Fine, I'm gonna put mine up on my imaginary wall, and remember the times when it was cool. But I think that's awesome.
Well, I kind of felt bad for the people who are going to be new gamers, new Destiny gamers coming into the Taken King, coming into Destiny as a whole, but during Taken King, because for some of these exotics, they are going to have such a limited play window between the time when they can actually earn them and to when they're already outclassed by the new stuff they're getting from the Taken King.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that I thought was really sad is there were a lot of guns that were either not up to par as far as exotics, or they were new, and they were new and neat to mess around with, like the PoE ones, but they really didn't do anything. And I think that just dumping those guns aside it's almost a waste. It's just like, go and do Crota hard, for some people 30 times before you get the crux, and now you've got a gun that sucks, but it doesn't matter because the Taken King coming out and you won't ever use it, you know. So it's like, I think it's good that they have the potential to go and fix those guns, go and add whatever it is that they're going to add to it, or take away, like with some of the guns, and keep them viable, because that's kind of the point in the exotic gun, you know. That is the special gun, or the exotic armor, you know. I get that they wanted to get rid of legendary stuff and not necessarily hold on to that, but if it's an exotic, that's like your jewel, you know, your special little thing you don't want to get rid of. So I'm glad for it. Whether I'll use some of this stuff or not, that's a different story. But
Moving on.
So there are 10 story missions, 3 of which are class specific, so you'll need 3 guardians to experience them all. The doorway across the water behind Sepic's primary battle area is going to lead to a monolithic tower with a colony ship, some platforming, and even a little stealth. While another mission will see us in unfamiliar territory, eventually overwhelmed by enemy combatants, finally forced to retreat. They even note something kind of cryptic here. There's a clever and unexpected rug pull moment involving a mission feature with which you've become all too familiar. Avoiding spoilers is a must, though. Regarding the new bounties, they say that keep an eye out for fire team focused ones, such as the Crucible's The Team That Works Together task, unlocked by fire teams of 2 or more, collectively killing 25 enemies. And then we get some details on the Court of Oryx. It's a type of public event that's controlled by the players. By offering different types of runes to statues in the court, you summon various bosses for timed encounters, along with clues to help you succeed in the battle. There are 4 difficulty tiers, and the types of runes that you offer dictates the difficulty, though the bosses are summoned at random. Level 1 foes aren't too tough, while Stage 3 challenges pit you against enemies as tough as anything in the raids. For example, one battle has you fight 3 wizards, but your team must drop them in a synchronized fashion, or the remaining 2 respawn with full health. Another is an ogre who is completely impervious to gunfire and can only be damaged by opportunistically popping cursed thralls when they are near. And a third contains 2 powerful knights whose shields can only be drained by forcing them to standing next to each other. You'll unlock the quest to your new subclass within the first hour of the campaign. And, for instance, Warlocks will get to travel to Blind Watch and eventually square off with Vex using their new powers in an accelerated and amped up fashion. Did anybody have anything they want to say about that so far?
Sounds exciting.
yeah, lots of new stuff. Love it.
And we heard about Arms Day before. We've learned now that the fee for the order is 2,500 Glimmer, and there are apparently 5 new legendary weapons that can be acquired this way. So there's apparently specific weapons. This was some question before as to whether you would get a, randomly rolled legendary that's available or what, but apparently these are specific to the Gunsmith's quests.
Cool.
Similar to the new Weaponsmith's missions, the Cryptarch also wants our assistance in cleansing and decrypting engrams that have been corrupted. So that's an interesting new angle on him as well. Something else that has been revealed is a new exotic arc weapon named for the Finnish thunder god Ukko's hammer, and it shoots bullets that chain lightning. Its name is Ukon Vasara. Ukon Vasara? Sure. And another new addition is when you get a Sublime engram and you're on PlayStation, you know it's going to be one of the legendary set pieces exclusive to PlayStation. This possibly suggests that Sublime engrams may have another function on Xbox, but this is just speculation. They could just be exclusively obtained on the PS as well. The PlayStation exclusive Strike Echo Chamber has some inventive new mechanics besides wave clearing and hiding from a tanky boss. You'll need to carry some cumbersome relic that restricts movement and weapon use to a statue that then debuffs the boss's powerful overshield. We've seen a little bit of this in the trailer gameplay, and also on another note for the strikes, the loot that you now acquire from the strike bosses is actually obtained from their corpses in the game, unlike it just being awarded at the end of a match, like as was the standard previously.
There we are.
And I want to give shout out to Planet Destiny for putting together a great article on these magazine articles. That's where I've obtained most of my information from print.
Man, Planet Destiny is awesome. What do you think,
And
Sharks?
of course,
Sharks is asleep.
No, I'm not.
He's like propped up
and
on
of course,
his,
shout
on
out
his
to
controller.
Reddit for all their information too. Reddit and Planet Destiny. They're my two go-to sources. I got to say for all things Destiny.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, except for also Datto and Bife and...
Well, I'm referring to the print. I'm referring to print. Datto doesn't exactly write articles.
Alrighty, we gotta wrap this up. What more you got?
That's the meat and potatoes. That's all the good stuff. We are wrapped up.
Excellent. Excellent. Then why don't we end this now? Why don't we do some shout outs, starting with you, Sharks?
I'm gonna shout out to Jaded. He is one of our Guardian 1 members, and he is always out there willing to give a helping hand, whether it's doing PoE 35 or trials or nightfalls, whether he has done it himself already or not, he will still go in there and do it and help, and I think that's awesome.
That is way awesome. You kick ass, Jaded. Agrios.
I'm going to give a shout out to one of our Guardian 1 clan members, Artistic33. He hooked me up with my Call of Duty 3 beta code this week, so shout out to him for that.
Awesome.
One thing I wanted to say about Call of Duty I didn't get to mention before was, man, do other first-person shooters feel like a different animal after playing so much Destiny now?
Definitely.
Oh, yeah, it was like
Even
playing PvP on steroids, playing Call of Duty. It was so fast. It was so crazy.
Despite Call of Duty trying its frickin' hardest, its absolute hardest to be Destiny, it still doesn't feel nearly as good. Like it's
the movement, the aiming, it just all feels so clunky after the smoothness that is Destiny.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I hated the shaky running. It just was driving me insane.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I used to do Call of Duty all the time, but I've gotten so used to this nice, smooth fluidness that is Destiny. It's going to be hard to ever play any other first-person shooter. I can say that.
You know what else? You know what else also is that game. So like I played one match in the beta and we lost. My team lost, and the game told me to get my shit together.
Oh, are you serious? That's hilarious.
It's like, oh, get your shit together, and I thought, are you serious right now? Like you know what I appreciate? I appreciate that I know whoever it is that's calling the games in Destiny, they're saying that same thing to me, but they're saying it in a way
In a
that's
nicer way.
Yeah, in a much more supportive way. Like, you're gonna have to do a lot better than that, Guardian. I will agree with that. But you're gonna tell me to get my shit together. That's crazy.
That's hilarious. That is funny.
So was that it, Agrios? Excellent.
What was that? Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I said, was that it, Agrios?
That is it. That is all I had, sir.
Alrighty. My shout out is to a bunch of people because, start with Mark Square and his Banana Guard. Number one, Mark Square does a lot of really awesome artwork and like humor, like memes, and I don't know, he's produced a lot of really great content. And I had asked for some help getting through some level 32s on the Xbox One, and he got back to me the next day and he's like, I wish I had seen this because not many people are interested in Prison of Elder at this point. And I said, yeah, let's do it. And so we got together and we ran 232s, and I was like, man, top of the world, because I knew that I had to get to level 34 on one of my characters at least to get through Skolas. And if I didn't start last week, then I was really I was really cutting myself down on armor cores, and I didn't have any ascendant etheric materials. So him and them helped me out. A couple of cool guys that he knows as well, and then that Shusky, like I needed to do a 34. I had 1 hour left before reset, and I messaged him and I said, hey, you know, are you interested in helping me run through a 34? Just so you know, though, I'm only a level 33. And he said, yeah, no problem. So he hopped in, and we didn't have a third. And he said, are you trying to find a third, or are we just going to two-man this? And I said, I don't know that we'll be able to two-man this. But, you know, if you think that we should start it off so that when we do get somebody, it'll just go quicker, that's cool. And we ended up just two-manning the whole thing. We just two-manned the whole 34. I got my etheric light, and I was able to get to level 33. But with the armor cores, like I can get to 34 right now. I just need to pick whether I want exotic arms or whether I want exotic boots, and then just ascend the other piece. So that was really awesome. And then I ended up asking him, or no, I ended up hanging out with him later, and we talked a lot about Crucible and how we were going to, like how he became, how good he was in the Crucible. And so I took a lot of what he said to heart, and then my game started picking up, and so I ended up finishing up the that 500 points for Thorn Bounty, and then I wish I had my notes in front of me. OG Bobcat. OG Bobcat saw that I was in the I was on my way to Zyor, and he asked if I needed help. And so I had him come in, and then he helped me through that whole thing, and I got Thorn. Like it was really a huge week for me on the Xbox, because I don't have this kind of support on the Xbox where here's just somebody playing the game who's interested in helping me because this accomplishes my goals. I have that on the PlayStation. You know, you and Sharks Agrios have just been, you know, like, let's get this done, and that feels really awesome. And so it was really a huge week for me on Xbox One, because I feel like I'm beginning to grow this community of friends, and that's what Destiny really truly is all about. Like, if you don't have time to play it, and you don't have a group of friends who are going to help you, it's going to feel very lonely. It's going to be a very different game than the one that I know that it can be. Yeah. So that's it. So huge shout out to them. Thank you very much for that, all of you. And that wraps up episode 54. I would like to thank everyone listening for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any questions or suggestions for topics to be discussed on the show, please leave them in the comments below or send them to feedback@guardian1.net, and we will hopefully see you next week.